नमस्ते सभी दर्शकों को। अ, आज के इस सत्र में आप सभी का स्वागत है। रात के इस सत्र में जहां हम स्वामी विवेकानंद के कुछ विचारों का विश्लेषण और उनकी ओर थोड़े अपने झलक देंगे। अ, धर्म और नेनर आपको भी नमस्ते।
Namaste.
सो
Namaste to all the viewers.
यप इंग्लिश हिंदी में ये सत्र का प्रसारण होगा। बाकी जितने भी दर्शक है वो अपने कमेंट्स लिखिए और प्रश्न अगर पूछने हो तो वो अपने प्रश्न कमेंट्स में पूछ सकते हैं। सो आई गेस लेट्स बिगिन सेशन। तो आज के सत्र में हम कुछ इंटरव्यूज थे जो कि लिए गए थे स्वामी जी के आफ्टर ही केम फ्रॉम हिज ग्लोरियस journey to America and other European states as well, where he spread the good news of Hinduism to them. So after returning to India, a couple of interviews were taken of him, and some of them starting with this, which was taken by Madras Times, February 1897. Heading है The Missionary Work of the First Hindu Sannyasin to the West and His Plan of Regeneration of India. For the past few weeks, the Hindu public of Madras have been most eagerly expecting the arrival of Swami Vivekananda, the great Hindu monk of worldwide fame. At the present moment, his name is on everybody's lips. In the school, in the college, in the high court, on the marina, and in the streets and bazaars of Madras. Hundreds of inquisitive spirits may be seen asking when the Swami will be coming. Large numbers of students from the Mufassal who have come up for the university examinations are staying here, awaiting the Swami and increasing their hostelry bills, despite the urgent call of the parents to return home immediately. In a few days, the Swami will be in our midst. From the nature of the receptions received elsewhere in this presidency, from the preparations being made here, from the triumphal arches erected at Castle Kannan, where the prophet is to be lodged at the cost of the Hindu public, and from the interest taken in the movement by the leading Hindu gentlemen of this city, like the Honorable Mr. Justice Subramanya Iyer. There is no doubt that the Swami will have a grand reception. It was Madras that first recognized the superior merits of the Swami and equipped him for Chicago. Madras will now have again the honor of welcoming the undoubtedly great man who has done so much to raise the prestige of his motherland. 4 years ago, when the Swami arrived here, he was practically an obscure individual. In an unknown bungalow at St. Thome, he spent nearly 2 months, all along holding conversations on religious topics and teaching and instructing all comers who cared to listen to him. Even then, a few educated young men with a keener eye predicted that there was something in the man, a power that would lift him above all others, that would preeminently enable him to be the leader of men. These young men, who were then despised as misguided enthusiasts, dreamy revivalists, have now the supreme satisfaction of seeing their Swami, as they love to call him, return to them with a great European and American fame. The mission of this Swami is essentially spiritual. He firmly believes that India, the motherland of spirituality, has a great future before her. He is sanguine that the West will more and more come to appreciate what he regards as the sublime truths of Vedanta. His great motto is help and not fight, assimilation and not destruction. harmony and peace and not dissension. Whatever difference of opinion followers of other creeds may have with him, few will venture to deny that the Swami has done yeoman's service to his country in opening eyes to the Western world to the good in the Hindu. He will always be remembered as the first Hindu sannyasin who dared to cross the sea to carry to the West the message of what he believes in as a religious peace. A representative, I think for the audience sake, we must go a bit down, scroll down. Yeah. Thank you so much, moderator. A representative of our paper interviewed the Swami Vivekananda with a view to eliciting from him an account of the success of his mission in the West. The Swami very courteously received our representative and motioned him to a chair by his side. The Swami was dressed in yellow robes, was calm, serene, and dignified, and appeared inclined to answer any questions that might be put to him. We have given the Swami's words as taken down in shorthand by our representative. May I know a few particulars about your early life? Asked our representative. The Swami said, even while I was a student at Calcutta, I was of religious temperament. I was critical even at that time of my life. Mere words would not satisfy me. Subsequently, I met Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, with whom I lived for a long time and under whom I studied. After the death of my father, I gave myself up to traveling in India and started a little monastery in Calcutta. During my travels, I came to Madras, where I received help from the Maharaja of Mysore and the Raja of Ramnad. What made Your Holiness carry the mission of Hinduism to Western countries? I wanted to get experience. My idea as to the keynote of our national downfall is what we do not mix with other nations. That is the one and the sole cause. We never had opportunity to compare notes. We were kupamandukas, frogs in a well. You have done a good deal of traveling in the West. I have visited a good deal of Europe, including Germany and France, but England and America were the chief centers of my work. At first, I found myself in a critical position, owing to the hostile attitude assumed against the people of this country by those who went there from India. I believe the Indian nation is by far the most moral and religious nation in the whole world, and it would be a blasphemy to compare the Hindus with any other nation. At first, many fell foul of me, manufactured huge lies against me by saying that I was a fraud, that I had a harem of wives and half a regiment of children. But my experience of these missionaries opened my eyes as to what they are capable of doing in the name of religion. Missionaries were nowhere in England. None came to fight me. Mr. Lunn went over to America to abuse me behind my back, but people would not listen to him. I was very popular with them. When I came back to England, I thought this missionary would be at me, but the truth silenced him. In England, the social status is stricter than caste is in India. The English church people are all gentlemen, born, which many of the missionaries are not. They greatly sympathized with me. I think that about 30 English church clergymen agree entirely with me on all points of religious discussion. I was agreeably surprised to find that the English clergymen, though they differed from me, did not, did not abuse me behind my back and stab me in the dark. There is the benefit of caste and hereditary culture. So, Nenar, Dharma also, what do you say about this portion of the conversation? Any comments? The one that I just read now.
right. So, see, he covers various issues about how exactly he was approached in Madras, how people actually were waiting for him in lines and so on. And also,
Yep, yep.
he takes up the issue of missionaries and what their behavior is like. And I
Hmm.
think historically also it's been proven that missionaries, in order to seek conversions, they kind of seek any kind of method. They fall back to
Hmm.
lying, disgracing the opponents, or any kind of method in general. So yeah, so it's not something out of pattern.
True, true. Uh, so, what was unusual for me to read is this, that apparently missionaries were nowhere in England when he went there. And he found missionaries back in America, I guess, much more than in England. What do you think? Why is that the case? I mean, wasn't England more Christian then, or was there some sort of difference by then as well?
I think uh, back then in England, there was a more sort of liberal culture going on. So you see things
Oh,
like Mill's classical liberalism, Adam Smith, he also comes from there, and even
okay.
Bentham and so on, right? They have a whole tradition of
Uh-huh.
liberalism coming from there. But- And they even have utilitarians, like like you can say James Mill was a utilitarian also. So yeah, and of course there was a tradition of deists, people who reject Christianity but were not rejecting God entirely. In this
Okay,
environment,
okay.
the clergy probably would be far more liberal. And we
Mm.
also must keep in mind that people who were living in America, they were essentially the people who had left Britain to kind of colonize
Uh-huh.
with their mindset of a more radical Christianity, that is Puritans and so on. So it is not a surprise that this particular Mr. Lund went to America in particular and to abuse it. So yeah, that is one thing, that England was probably a primarily um a liberal culture at the time. That is also how
Mm.
they were able to capable of producing Orientalists.
Wow, very interesting. Thank you for this tidbit, because me, along with many audiences, would not know about this actually, and it would be very surprising for anyone to read this, that somehow missionaries were not there in England. But as you said, कि वहाँ पे liberal culture आ चुका था, so maybe it was much more different. So yeah, I guess we must continue further. So let's start. What has been the measure of your success in the West? A great number of people sympathized with me in America, much more than in England. Vituperation by the low caste missionaries made my cause succeed better. I had no money. The people of India having given me my bare passage money, which was spent in a very short time, I had to live just as here on the charity of individuals. The Americans are a very hospitable people. In America, one third of the people are Christians, but the rest have no religion. That is, they do not belong to any of the sects, but amongst them are to be found the most spiritual persons. I think the work in England is sound. If I die tomorrow and cannot send any more sannyasins, still English work will go on. The Englishman is a very good man. He is taught from his childhood to suppress all his feelings. He is thick-headed, and is not so quick as the Frenchman or the American. He is immensely practical. The American people are too young to understand renunciation. England has enjoyed wealth and luxury for ages. Many people there are ready for renunciation. When I first lectured in England, I had a little class of 20 or 30. It just kept going when I left. And when I went back from America, I could get an audience of 1,000. In America, I could get a much bigger one, as I spent 3 years in America and only 1 year in England. I have two sannyasins, one in England and one in America, and I intend sending sannyasins to other countries. English people are tremendous workers. Give them an idea, and you may be sure that the idea is not going to be lost, provided they catch it. People here have given up the Vedas, and all your philosophy is in the kitchen. The religion of India at present is don't touchism. That is a religion which the English people will never accept. The thoughts of our forefathers and the wonderful life giving principles that they discovered, every nation will take. The biggest guns of the English church told me that I was putting Vedantism into the Bible. The present Hinduism is a degradation. There is no book on philosophy written today in which something of our Vedanta is not touched upon. Even the works of Herbert Spencer contain it. The philosophy of the age is Advaitism. Everybody talks of it. Only in Europe they try to be original. They talk of Hindus with contempt, but at the same time swallow the truths given out by the Hindus. Professor Max Muller is a perfect Vedantist and has done splendid work in Vedantism. He believes in reincarnation. There are some comments of him by, what should I say, on the lines of, yeah, Nina. So the comments which are made by him on Hinduism getting degraded and all, those were very
I think
prevalent,
more
right?
on this will, yeah, but I think more on this will come later in the essay, so you can continue.
Yep. What do you intend doing for the regeneration of India? I consider that the great national sin is the neglect of the masses, and that is one of the causes for our downfall. No amount of politics would be of any avail until the masses in India are once more well educated, well fed, and well cared for. They pay for our education, they build our temples, but in return they get kicks. They are practically our slaves. If we want to regenerate India, we must work for them. I want to start two central institutions at first, one at Madras, another at Calcutta, for training young men as preachers. I have funds for starting the Calcutta one. English people will find funds for my purpose. My faith is in the younger generation, the modern generation. Out of them will come my workers. They will work out the whole pattern like lions. I have formulated the idea and have given my life to it. If I do not achieve success, some better one will come after me to work it out, and I shall be content to struggle. The one problem you have is to give to the masses their rights. You have the greatest religion which the world ever saw, and you feed the masses with stuff and nonsense. You have the perennial fountain flowing, and you give them ditch water. Your Madras graduate would not touch a low caste man, but is ready to get out of him the money for his education. I want to start at first these two institutions for educating missionaries to be both spiritual and secular instructors to our masses. They will spread some they will spread from center to center until we have covered the whole of India. The great thing is to have faith in oneself, even before faith in God. But the difficulty seems to be that we are losing faith in ourselves day by day. That is my objection against the reformers. The Orthodox have more faith and more strength in themselves, in spite of their crudeness. But the reformers simply play into the hands of Europeans and pander to their vanity. Our masses are gods as compared with those of the other countries. This is the only country where poverty is not a crime. They are mentally and physically handsome, but we hated and hated them till they have lost faith in themselves. They think they are born slaves. Give them their rights and let them stand on their rights. This is the glory of the American civilization. Compare the Irishman with knees bent, half starved, with a little stick and bundle of clothes, just arrived from the ship, with what he is, and after a few months' stay in America, he walks boldly and bravely. He has come from a country where he was a slave to a country where he is a brother. Believe that the soul is immortal, infinite, and all powerful. My idea of education is personal contact with the teacher, Guru Grihavasa. Without the personal life of a teacher, there would be no education. Take your universities. What have they done during the 50 years of their existence? They have not produced one original man. They are merely an examining body. The idea of the sacrifice for the common weal is not yet developed in our nation. What do you think of Mrs. Besant and Theosophy? For the audience's information, this is here Mrs. Annie Besant is being talked about. Quote, Mrs. Besant is a very good woman. I lectured at her lodge in London. I do not know personally much about her. Her knowledge of our religion is very limited. She picks up scraps here and there. She never had time to study it thoroughly. That she is one of the most sincere of women, her greatest enemy will concede. She is considered the best speaker in England. She is a sannyasini, but I do not believe in Mahatmas and Kutumis. Let her give up her connection with the Theosophical Society, stand on her own footing, and preach what she thinks right. Speaking of social reforms, the Swami expressed himself about widow marriage thus: I have yet to see a nation whose fate is determined by the number of husbands their widows get. Knowing as he did that several persons were waiting downstairs to have an interview with the Swami, our representative withdrew, thanking the Swami for the kindness with which he had consented to journalistic torture. The Swami, it may be remarked, is accompanied by Mr. and Mrs. J. H. Sevier, Mr. T. G. Harrison, a Buddhist gentleman of Colombo, and Mr. J. J. Goodwin. It appears that Mr. and Mrs. Sevier accompany the Swami with a view to settling in the Himalayas, where they intend building a residence for the Western disciples of the Swami, who may have an inclination to reside in India. For 20 years, Mr. and Mrs. Sevier had followed no particular religion, finding satisfaction in none of those that were preached. But on listening to a course of lectures by the Swami, they professed to have found a religion that satisfied their heart and intellect. Since then, they have accompanied the Swami through Switzerland, Germany, and Italy, and now to India. Mr. Goodwin, a journalist in England, became a disciple of the Swami 40 months ago when he first met him at New York. He gave up his journalism and devotes himself to attending the Swami and taking down his lectures in shorthand. He is in every sense a true disciple, saying that he hopes to be with the Swami till his death. And here ends the first interview. Niner, any comments you have?
Amazing. So he also discusses about how the Indian perspective of, towards education, towards poverty is taken. He also speaks about social reform, that it was not exactly his priority at the point of time. And
Indeed.
overall, when you look at it broadly, his priority seems to be to restore that self confidence. That is why he talks about how the Irishman who goes to America, he walks boldly and bravely. So that is what he wants Indians to be like before they could decide what they want to be.
True. Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, the examples he gave of modern people, right? So he says that the ordinary Madras graduate would not so-called touch a guy from village who is low caste and all, but is ready to get money out of him for his own education. So this sort of mentality, I think, crept in by then, right? Even within modern educated people as well, who were studying in colleges, even they had
Very much
this
so.
tendency by then.
It became more about material transactions to a lot of people. And because they did not know how else to live in the non-traditional way of life, this became the norm.
Indeed. What's amazing, I found that, in fact, he gave in what you referred to earlier, right? The objection against the reformers that the Orthodox have more faith and more strength in themselves, despite of their crudeness, quote unquote. But the reformers simply just give way to the Europeans and just keep on pandering them. This is like this will hurt mm, many set of people, but yeah, I guess this is true. Coming from him, who
It
was
does come
himself.
from a place of having an inferiority complex also, that your religion is inferior, your way of life is inferior, and many other things that they find in comparison lesser when the standards are actually set by the foreigners themselves.
True, 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 true. Absolutely, absolutely. And
Yeah,
I guess with the tendency that the reformer has, uh, he just keeps going into that trap. And what he says, right? कि सेल्फ कॉन्फिडेंस ही नहीं है तो वो आगे कैसे बढ़ने वाला है फिर. He will never stand erect at all, like the Irishman who does when he comes to America. The example that he gave.
absolutely.
Okay, guys. So this is the first interview we covered. Next, I think moderator knows. So, moderator, can you just pull up the next?
Yes. Wait, hold. So before we move on to the next article, let me give some thoughts for the audience to ponder upon. So before that, we can say that Madras was kind of functioning like a bastion for our Swamiji. Like they were helping him with any kind of needs, like from first to last. Like when he went to Chicago, then he came and in his later life, when he wanted to do all this kind of stuff against the missionaries and all. Correct.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely,
Huh.
absolutely, absolutely.
Huh. So the thing is, I want our audiences to think that why Swamiji has to or had to choose Madras as a bastion, like in the later lives for specifically. Why not Bengal? Like who were the people in Calcutta who were opposing his works, who weren't accepting? So I want our audience to think about that and let us know in the comment section. Like, what do you think of it? Yes. So
Yep,
let's
yep,
move on to the second article.
absolutely. Yeah. So this is the second interview which we'll be dealing with. It was published in the prestigious journal which still comes out of Ramakrishna Mission, the institution which was set up by Swami Vivekananda himself. The journal's name is Prabuddha Bharat. One can look it up. It's a great journal, in fact. Prabuddha Bharat, September 1898. The heading goes Reawakening of Hinduism on a National Basis. In an interview which a representative of Prabuddha Bharat had recently with the Swami Vivekananda, that great teacher was asked, "What do you consider the distinguishing feature of your movement, Swamiji?" "Aggression," said the Swami promptly. "Aggression in a religious sense only. Other sects and parties have carried spirituality all over India, but since the days of Buddha, we have been the first to break, bounce, and try to flood the world with missionary zeal. And what do you consider to be the function of your movement as regards in India? To find the common basis of Hinduism and awaken the national consciousness to them. At present, there are three parties in India included under the term Hindu: the Orthodox, the Reforming sects of the Mohammedan period, and the reforming sects of the present time. Hindus from north to south are only agreed on one point, vis-a-vis, on not eating beef. Not in a common love for the Vedas? Certainly not. That is just what we want to reawaken. India has not yet assimilated the work of Buddha. She is hypnotized by his voice, not made alive by it. In what way do you say this importance of Buddhism in India today? It is obvious and overwhelming. You see, India never loses anything, only she takes time to turn everything into bone and muscle. Buddha dealt a blow at animal sacrifice from which India has never recovered. And Buddha said, kill no cows, and cow killing is an impossibility with us. With which of the three parties you name do you identify yourself, Swamiji? Quote, with all of them, we are Orthodox Hindus, said the Swami. But, he added suddenly with great earnestness and emphasis, we refuse entirely to identify ourselves with don't touchism. That is not Hinduism. It is in none of our books. It is an unorthodox superstition which has interfered with national efficiency all along the line. Then what you really desire is national efficiency. Certainly. Can you adduce any reason why India should lie in the ebb tide of the Aryan nations? Is she inferior in intellect? Is she inferior in dexterity? Can you look at her art, at her mathematics, at her philosophy and answer yes? All that is needed is that she should dehypnotize herself and wake up from her age long sleep to take her true rank in the hierarchy of nations. But India has always had her deep inner life. Are you not afraid, Swamiji, that in attempting to make her active, you may take from her her one great treasure? Not at all. The history of the past has gone to develop the inner life of India and the activity that is the outer life of the West. Hitherto, these have been divergent. The time has now come for them to unite. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was alive to the depths of being, yet on the outer plane, who was more active? That this is the secret. Let your life be as deep as the ocean, but let it also be as wide as the sky. It is a curious thing, continued the Swami, that the inner life is often most profoundly developed where the outer conditions are most cramping and limiting. But that but this is an accidental, not an essential association. And if we set ourselves right here in India, the world will be tightened. Or are we not all one? Your last remarks, Swamiji, raise another question. In what sense is Sri Ramakrishna a part of this awakened Hinduism? That is not for me to determine, said the Swami. I have never preached personalities. My own life is guided by the enthusiasm of this great soul, but others will decide for themselves how far they share in this attitude. Inspiration is not filtered out to the world through one channel, however great. Each generation should be inspired afresh. Are we not all God? Thank you. I have only one question more to ask you. You have defined the attitude and function of your movement with regard to your own people. Could you in the same way characterize your methods of action as a whole? Our method, said the Swami, is very easily described. It simply consists in reasserting the national life. Buddha preached renunciation, India heard, and yet in 6 centuries She reached air. Acha, she reached air greatest height. I think it would be her over here. Okay. She reached her greatest height. The secret lies there. The national idols of India are renunciation and service. Intensify her in those channels, and the rest will take care of itself. The banner of the spiritual cannot be raised too high in this country. In it alone is salvation. Here ends the second interview. Quite short, but replete with very interesting remarks. So, both of you, any points that you have to make?
This one is quite fascinating, and I would have 3 points to discuss on this. So, in the beginning, you would see, let me just scroll up. He talks about how there are three particular sects you can divide
Hmm.
Hindus under: the Orthodox, who are always and will always be the same; then the reforming
Yep.
sects of the Mohammedan period, the reforming sects of the present time. So
Hmm.
the next his answers which come out of this are quite informative about how he sees Hindu identity, and also how he sees the problems, or the his kind of diagnosis of what contemporary Hinduism is. To him,
True.
the fragmentation of Hindus is the biggest problem. That is why the first problem he highlights is he doesn't identify with don't touchism, while he also
Hmm.
identifies as himself as an Orthodox Hindu. So this is
Exactly.
quite an interesting thing. Another thing is, uh, a little further down, a question is asked about that whether by Swamiji focusing on more on the material aspects of things, that uh, his movement,
Hmm.
it might take away from the inner life which India has always, the knowledge on the inner life which India has always treasured. But here he also responds quite well. He says that simultaneously we can also be deep in contemplation while also focusing on the material aspects of the world. So
Indeed.
there also he gives that line, right? That let your life be as deep as the ocean, but let it also be as wide as the sky. That
Yep.
metaphor, I think, is the best thing he could have answered with. Finally, um, what else was there? Oh yeah, Rishi, you can
On
talk about your points. If I have any points, I'll continue.
Yeah, so amazing. You actually hit the nail actually. So at the first point, I was amazed when he demarcated the kind of Hindus. So the first one is the Orthodox. Okay, so we get it. The one who are following the Shastras, and the latter one, which he says are reformists from Mohammedan period, aka I think he's referring to the Sikhs and all right, Kabir Panthis, Sikhs, so on and so forth, and then the reformists of the modern age, Brahmo
What
Samajis
you would
and
call Bhakti
rest.
movement, whatever they call Bhakti movement, would come in the second one, probably.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. Yep. That Bhakti movement era sects. And in that, he sees that the only similarity is of killing no cows. And that is something that he wants to change. In fact, he wants to bring in the whole common love for Vedas back again. And he says that she, India has been hypnotized and she needs to get dehypnotized. In fact, that's the whole mission that he's embarking upon. This was interesting to me that he wanted to reawaken the whole uh, allegiance to Vedas and Shastras back again amongst all the Hindus, not just one section alone. Also,
Yes.
there is this portion, right? So you have seen when the interviewer asked, then what you really desire is national efficiency. Uh, there Swami says your point, right? Ki, uh, why should India be like in such a degraded manner? Like, aren't people of Indian stock intellectually superior? Aren't its people like adept at dexterity? हमारे कलाओं को देखो या हमारे आर्ट्स को देखो या मैथमेटिक्स या फिलोसफी को देखो. After that, why wouldn't you say yes, we are one of the greatest? So I think this is this is not really pointed out about him, right? So people call about patriotism and Hinduism much more than what he really desired was national efficiency, aka making India great, uh, like a superior nation once again, uh, which was not then at that time. This is missed by many. क्या बोलते हैं? What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. And that is why the metaphor about life being as deep as ocean and about also to be as wide as the sky is very important, because that inner life which we meditated we're supposed to be meditating on, that we must project it into our material life in a certain way. That is probably the kind of reawakening he wants.
Indeed, indeed, absolutely, absolutely. Like the whole approach is not just siloized. It's not like only about inner life or only about outer life. It has to be both ways. It has to be uh, simultaneous, parallel.
So there are many
At last,
perspectives about this, that a lot of people kind of think that there is a tendency to dismiss everything material as as an illusion, as nothing of worth. But there is also
mm,
the perspective that whatever in the is in the mind, the inner life, and all this deep philosophy and everything, that deep philosophy, uh, basically the outer world can be your canvas as a painting for expressing that deep philosophy as well. That is where he brings out these things about art, mathematics, and all.
brilliant point, brilliant point. Absolutely, absolutely. So true. Also, did you notice this interesting point that when he's asked about Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and what was his role in the
Yes, I
awakening of
wanted to
Hinduism
talk
back
about that
again?
point.
Haha, bol bol.
Right. So he had this very kind of democratic instinct that he is not interested in a personality cult formation. And he also immediately answers that he actually wants each generation to have their own role models, not to be relying on one role model for generations to be coming, while also respecting the past role models. But yes,
Yep.
he probably sees that also as part of national efficiency, that role models should be keep coming in the future.
Amazing, amazing. Brilliant point, actually. Because, like, even in modern times, we see the whole structure is based upon personality cults, as you referred to. Like, he could have done the same, but he didn't. He had some other approach to make, and it's just amazing. And that's how it is proven how great he was. Okay, moderator. Also, Dharma, you wanted to say something? Oh, okay. So, for the audience, I guess we will discuss the last interview today. So, this was also published in Prabuddha Bharat, April 1899, just I think 2 years before his demise. And the title is On the Bounds of Hinduism. Having been directed by the editor, writes our representative to interview Swami Vivekananda on the question of converts to Hinduism. I found an opportunity one evening on the roof of a Ganga houseboat. It was after nightfall, and we had stopped at the embankment of the Ramakrishna Mutt, and there the Swami came down to speak with me. Time and place were alike delightful. Overhead the stars, and around the rolling Ganga, and on one side stood the dimly lighted building with its background of palms and lofty shade trees. I want to see you, Swami, I began, on this matter of receiving back into Hinduism those who have been perverted from it. Is it your opinion that they should be received? Answered Swamiji. Certainly, said the Swami. They can and ought to be taken. He sat gravely for a moment, thinking, and then resumed. Besides, he said, we shall otherwise decrease in numbers. When the Mohammedans first came, we are said, I think on the authority of Farishta, the oldest Mohammedan historian, to have been 600 million of Hindus. Now we are about 200 millions. And then every man going out of the Hindu pale is not only a man less, but an enemy the more. Again, the vast majority of Hindu perverts to Islam and Christianity are perverts by the sword or the descendants of these. It would be obviously unfair to subject these to disabilities of any kind. As to the case of born aliens, did you say? Why born aliens have been converted in the past by crowds, and the process is still going on. In my opinion, this statement not only applies to aboriginal tribes, to outlying nations, and to almost all our conquerors before the Mohammedan conquest, but also in the Puranas. I hold that they have been aliens thus adopted. Ceremonies of expiation are no doubt suitable in case of willing converts, returning to their mother church, as it were. But on those who were alienated by conquest, as in Kashmir and Nepal, or on strangers wishing to join us, no penance should be imposed. But of what caste would these people be, Swamiji? I ventured to ask. They must have some, or they can never be assimilated into the great body of Hindus. Where shall we look for their rightful place? Returning converts, said the Swami quietly, will gain their own castes, of course, and new people will make theirs. You'll remember, he added, that this has already been done in the case of Vaishnavism. Converts from different castes and aliens were all able to combine under that flag and form a caste by themselves, and a very respectable one too. From Ramanuja down to Chaitanya of Bengal, all great Vaishnava teachers have done the same. And where should these new people expect to marry? I asked. Amongst themselves, as they do now, said the Swami quietly. Then as to names? I inquired. I suppose aliens and perverts who have adopted non-Hindu names should be named newly. Would you give them caste names or what? Certainly, said the Swami thoughtfully. There is a great deal in a name, and on this question he would say no more. But my next inquiry drew blood. Would you leave these newcomers, Swamiji, to choose their own form of religious belief out of many visaged Hinduism, or would you chalk out a religion for them? Can you ask that? He said. They will choose for themselves, for unless a man chooses for himself, the very spirit of Hinduism is destroyed. The essence of our faith consists simply in this freedom of the Ishta. I thought the utterance a weighty one, for the man before me has spent more years than anyone else living, I fancy, in studying the common basis of Hinduism in a scientific and sympathetic spirit. And the freedom of the Ishta is obviously a principle big enough to accommodate the world. But the talk passed to other matters, And then, with a cordial good night, this great teacher of religion lifted his lantern and went back into the monastery, while I, by the pathless paths of the Ganga, in and out amongst her crafts of many sizes, made the best of my way back to my Calcutta home. Here ends the article. So, reactions कैसा लगा?
This is another masterclass for him, basically. So initially, you see how he faces it very practically about the demographic terms that there's a dramatic population decline of Hindus from, I think he said 600 million to down to 200
Yeah.
million.
Yep.
And apart from that, he also told kind of matter of factly that the people who were converted by this sport, they can be taken back. The,
Hmm.
and he after this, he also gives makes the bold claim that is not usually made by orthodox people, that Hinduism has always absorbed outsiders. He says that when he says born aliens have been converted in the past by crowds, pointing to aboriginal tribes and so on. Then
Yeah.
he even talks about the solutions to this whole caste problem, which the speaker brings up, the his student probably.
Hmm.
He talks about how Vaishnava acharyas have already worked on this. That whenever a sizable group of people convert, they are allotted new castes essentially, because it is also a sensible thing. Because say a group of people uh, enter out of nowhere, they want to have that memory of that conversion also in mind, right? That this is the lived experience of their ancestors, and by having a
Indeed.
new caste, the memory of that, and the memory of that they are starting and planning to uphold the tradition for generations to come, that probably lives on better than having them to assimilate into an older caste. That's quite
Yeah.
a
And
practical solution, I think.
yep. And assimilation with the older caste will create problems, right? Because the other party will be um, like forced to take them in, and then strife will begin. Ki, array, how are they getting into our into identity and so on? There comes the civil
Yes.
war issue. Then.
At the end of it, he also talks about how each of these new groups, they would essentially choose for themselves what their path would in the end look out to be. So that kind of vision would not work out if they were assimilating into another caste, because the other caste would have a
Indeed.
predetermined vision from the past which it was upholding, and it would not be as flexible as the new caste coming in. So yeah, the new caste being separate is actually a better solution, more what can you say, practical or
The- Yeah.
amicable solution, I guess, to
Indeed.
actually implement them.
Yeah, the pluralist solution, if you can say, quote unquote.
Yes,
But where he says, right, ki freedom of ishta is essential for Hinduism, and that spirit should not be killed. It's true indeed. Like, you cannot force a ishta devata on someone. Like, what kind of deities are you going to worship, or what kind of rituals are you going to follow? It's like
right.
forcing
That is
someone
So
also
to.
an amazing point.
this is basically
Yeah, yeah.
you can derive that this is the direct attack to Yeshu or Yeshuji.
Yes, yes. Abrahamics in general, because there they
Yep.
force you
Abrahamic in general.
to have a particular Ishta.
And
Exactly.
also regarding the that if we convert them, then what caste will we give? So if we go by, if we abide by our Shastra, then the people like these are given no caste basically. So they are called avarnas, who are basically out of the four worlds. But there are also people from like who जो लोग कन्वर्ट नहीं हुए थे, but later also they
No,
become
but
converted.
they would still be given a community name. So that name
Yep.
probably that is what
Yep, yep.
Swamiji is
We
talking about.
yes, yes. So I was coming to that. So these awareness that they eventually get given like a different community name, like they got attached to something. So this eventually happens.
Yeah,
It
they would
will,
still
Yeah.
be called Jati
happen
only.
eventually.
They would be still called
Yep,
Jati
yep.
even if they're Avarna.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm. And,
Absolutely,
okay,
absolutely.
so
Um,
I think we can take some comments or questions now.
yeah, yeah, of course. Please.
Okay, here's a comment by Vaishali. The people were converted by force, people were converted by giving them advantages because other religions should control the power and give promotions and positions only if you convert. Yeah, but this was mostly in the case of elites. Like, as you know, that our Sanatana Dharma is like very much decentralized. So, and that later, when like more and more of power consolidation happened, this was mostly the case with the elites. Okay, now you two reactions on this thing.
Yeah, I mean, Niner, it's true, right? I mean, the last point of gave promotions of positions only if you converted. That is gonna work with the elite varga, like the elite who needs to now be acquainted with the new set of people. He will readily get converted to save his backside, I guess, and to stay in power, right? Because
Surely, yes, yes.
this is the only solution.
And this you see that in essence, this must be brought down top down. This cannot happen in a natural way. If they were converted in this kind of for a matter of convenience out of force, so that has to happen in reverse to bring them back.
Completely. Yep.
Also, I think we should share that there are then other groups of people who are also the elites that opposes these people, and like still now this is the same case. Like as long as we are not out group, there's always an other group which keeps opposing these guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, hence you need to have power in the hands of humans and make laws that at least disadvantaging them humans, not specifically favor them. Yeah, yeah, exactly. That just what he said right now. Like the other
Yeah.
group, if they hold on to power, if they come to power, then the power balance will flip, then things will go much more smoothly.
Indeed. I mean, the prescription given over here is actually going to help us more. Like, we do not need give outs or handouts. We just need freedom. And that freedom will just sprout us. Like, it's just like rearing a plant. If you shelter it too much, then it never grows. But if you give it some freedom, quote unquote, then it grows into a huge tree at the end of the day. So that's also the case with us as well over here. ऐसा ही है ना, नेनर धर्म?
Ah,
बिल्कुल, बिल्कुल.
hmm. Like just keep leave us unbothered. Like do not touch us. Like let us do our thing, and like you just make sure that you do not interfere. Just that, and then we will eventually. Oh, okay, so now socializing. Why do we need to assign caste to them? Like we won't, but it will eventually happen by the course of nature. That is just
So
how
Yeah.
mainly it so what I think is mainly it happens in the case when large groups convert, not in individual cases.
Hmm.
In individual
Ah,
cases, let them
ah,
prove themselves as normal in their normal lives. When a large group converts,
hmm.
they want a identity, right, to remember who they are.
Exactly,
That's why.
exactly. Hmm.
Completely true.
And if the conversion is like not too much long, like if it's just first generation or second generation, then they will go back to their previous identity very easily. So like in most cases, this assignment of caste or everything just
Yeah,
doesn't come.
that's why on the individual level it's unnecessary.
Hmm.
Hmm. Indeed.
Okay, so
Any recent discussions on घर वापसी and all always gets bogged down by this whole अरे कास्ट क्या दे उसे इंडिविजुअल केस में तो वी शुड नॉट बी इवन बॉदरिंग अबाउट इट हाँ इवन
yes.
जैसे आप लोगों ने बोला कि कम्युनिटीज जब हो रही है लेट देम मेक द न्यू कास्ट क्या है दे विल मेक अ न्यू कास्ट एंड दे
Or
विल बी
or if
एबल
they
टू
were
कीप
previously
मेमोरीज
converted and they had a caste, like maybe their grandfather or earlier, then they get that same caste. That will be easy for them.
हाँ
Hmm.
another set of that caste only same caste if the earlier ones do not like do not want to get integrated or something like there are such issues right कि कभी कभी होता है ना कि
Right, right.
कन्वर्ट करना
They
चाहते
change
हैं
their way of life
previous
also.
members हाँ so they will just
Okay.
become a new set
So
of caste होने दो
hmm, hmm.
कोई बात नहीं करने दो absolutely true
Okay, so Vaishali, you have other two others comment, but we won't take those comments now. Like otherwise, the topic will get diverted. We'll leave it here only. Let's see if any other comments are there. Okay, okay, here is one. But this is also okay. Why should I get access for social science humanity subjects when they are uniformly mandated by
This is a bit
non-critical thinkers
unrelated.
compromise to foreign powers? This is a bit. We should. I think we can discuss it in later audience interaction streams, or we can discuss this in Vijita stream, where Vijita actually discusses all this, like his current lecture series on Indian polity, which is basically these things only.
yeah
So I think
over
we can
there we can
discuss it
discuss
there.
this issue. Yeah,
Yes.
we have taken note of this question, and Vashalidhi, we will discuss it later on.
Okay, so no need for cast, but as if क्या discussion कर रहे हैं? How many people are being converted to Hinduism? We are talking about. अच्छा. Uh, you have to deal with this thing. I mean, like as long as
Yeah,
academia keeps
before it
surfacing
happens
this.
in the mass level, yeah, before it happens
Hmm,
on the mass level, this kind of discussion needs to happen.
हाँ
yes.
क्योंकि जब होगा तब you cannot create a solution. पहले से बना के रखो that would be far better. On the
Hmm.
spot क्या बना
I
लेंगे?
mean, and you would have unbothered by it if only it would have not been used as a like in like a nuke against Hinduism in the academic level and the political surface level. But like
Mm-hmm.
all of that thing just roam around this thing only. So we need to deal with it, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it gives a whole set of identity, right? बिना identity के
Hmm.
I don't
Hmm.
know how much you can
So
attract
without
someone.
identity, what will happen? Will they will eventually fall into another like Gurgu's thing, like Bhim or like the other cults,
There'll
like
be
the
other
Brahma
weird
Kumaris or
identities like
other things.
regionalism, linguistic
Hmm.
regionalism, and all that. That is unnecessary and unwanted.
Yes. Yeah.
We have the time and tested jati, so yeah, completely true.
Hmm.
Okay, any other comments
Okay.
then?
So
No,
no,
I think
no other
that's all.
comments other than Bhushan's comments. So I think we can end it here if there is no further comment. Okay, so let's end it here. There are no comments.
Okay, she is talking
Uh,
about the
we
caste issue.
Oh no, no, no. We have answered every comment of her.
Ha ha
So
ha.
yeah, Rishi, go on,
Please
like
stop it.
do the ending outro.
Yeah. So this stream of today and the interviews that we got to analyze and react upon, uh, हर किसी के लिए इम्पोर्टेंट है कि इसको ध्यान से पढ़े, इसको ध्यान से समझे, क्योंकि this was a man who, as Desai Deepak recently in a debate called patron saint of nationalism, huh? And not just that, he had a vision for India which was not क्या कहते uh, it was not about bringing us down to some sort of navel gazing attitude or anything. It was for us to become magnificent, or Zinner is saying, one of his lines, deep as the ocean and wide as the sky. ऐसा एटीट्यूड लाना था हम में,
Exactly.
इंडियंस में.
Mhm.
And the contributions which he made are still being we are still impacted by them. And if we follow his path, and if we follow his prescriptions, especially uh, regarding dharma or even attitude as well, I think we will excel a lot more than we are right now, because we tend to forget him a lot. We just use him as slogans, we just use him as mascot, but that's not what he wanted himself to be. He wanted something far better. He wanted us to be far better. In fact, he wanted us to imbibe his message and to follow it. Right? क्या कहते हो तुम लोग? Last points तुम दोनों से स्ट्रीम को एंड करने से पहले.
Absolutely. And as you've seen, various issues that he covers in his essays, they are as relevant today as they were back then. It's not like, and probably they'll be relevant for a long time to come. So we must always go back to the essays, the writing speeches of figures like him to always refer to our present problems as well, because they kind of have the eternal solutions to them.
Absolutely. Absolutely true. Dharma, any comments?
Exactly what both of you just shared. Also, the guys who consider themselves as the torchbearers of Hindutva, they should definitely like read his works, okay, and get more clarity and like that like that kattata, like, kat- okay, the radicalism. What do you say? Wearing the dharma or wearing one's dharma more brightly. This
Mm-hmm.
kattata is missing. Like definitely they can learn it from Vivekananda only. And also like many guys have what is it, Brahm. He was a supporter of missionism and whatnot, but clearly he
Mm-hmm.
wasn't.
Yep.
People
He
need to
wasn't.
get this clear. Yes.
Yeah, people need to see him in a context, and that's what they forget to do. Out of context लेके
Mm.
बहुत चर्चाएं होती हैं. Yeah, absolutely, so true.
Yeah, I mean, the
Thank you
other
so much,
side will
audience.
always miss. Yes, yes. Oh, wait.
Mhm.
So the other side will always misquote him. Like the other side wore him proudly. Like Swamiji ne ye bola, Swamiji ne. But what they do, what they does is basically misquote him, out of context and all, and use him as what they shoot based of them. So yeah,
Mhm.
so read him. I mean, but like grab him to our side. Yeah, that would be much more cool.
Yep. He has become the metaphorical stick for everyone to beat each other out. That should not be the case.
Okay, so
So
wait,
yeah.
so someone's. telling us to suggest Swami Vivekananda's book. So, Rishi, go ahead.
Okay. Uh, as far as books are concerned, you can all go and look up his collected volumes, collected works of Swami Vivekananda. I think it comes in 9 volumes. All of you
Nine
can
volume.
refer to that. Yeah, so those are free. इंटरनेट में कहीं भी मिल जाएगा या फिर अगर खरीदना भी हो इट्स चीप नाउ इट्स चीप also some new editions have come of his letters as well, some letters which were not published earlier, those too have come out. And I would suggest if to Indians especially, if they want to get inspired and want to actually know what his views were, uh, like not in a environment where hostilities were against him, but here in India, uh, they should try looking up the book Lectures from Colombo to Almora. Those are by far the best sections of his lectures, where you will get to see real Swami Vivekananda, in fact. The bold, the dynamic, the lion that he was. It's
Yes.
represented out there. And one
Okay,
more
so he's
suggestion.
asking. Ah, okay, continue, continue.
Yeah, go forward. So he's asking where to buy, right? Okay.
Yes, he's
So,
asking where to buy, cause in market duplicate copies are surfacing. So yes.
okay. Okay, good question. So, try contacting the nearest Ramakrishna Mutt always, because they have the actual source. Also, they are the ones who publish the actual material, because they hold on to it. And you can go there to the nearest centers, and all of them have a bookstore, and you can find those volumes there. As well as what they have done is compiled some lectures based on the subject matter. Uh, yeah, those are genuine. In Ramakrishna Mission, you will get the genuine books, and based on subject matters, they have compiled smaller texts as well. So, like someone wants to know about Swami Vivekananda's views on history, there is a book over that. Someone wants to know about sociology, there is a book over that as well. On music, on religion, on philosophy, on politics, everything. Uh, so you will get those in Ramakrishna Mutt bookstores. So please go there. And also, if one goes to bookstores, like normal bookstores, try telling them, give me the editions which are published by uh, either Advaita Ashram, okay, Advaita Ashram, or just Ramakrishna Mutt, Chennai. Always refer to those two, and you will get the genuine books. So here's my submission. Yeah, Dharma, back to you.
Okay, so he do not have Ramakrishna Mutt in his city.
So you can just go to a website, Prabuddha Bharat, and Advaita Ashrama. There is also a website, Advaita Ashrama. You can go over there, and you can buy books online from there. It's their website. You can buy it. They'll provide you with the genuine material. Yeah, that's the one. advaitaashrama.org. So go over there and you shall find the actual material. It will be delivered to you via post office.
So they have ebooks and books, magazine, everything. So, wait, let me, yes, we, yeah, what, wait, so, okay, yeah,
Yeah. So
you
over
can
here
go
you can
to,
see the book.
okay. I think it's this one. Oh, these are the letters. Oh, this is a latest release of them. Like the letters and like there were many letters and interviews, talks which were not published earlier, but they published it recently. These are the collection of those.
Yep.
Okay, so Vikashji, I hope your query has been satisfied with our answer. So now I think we can end the stream now. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
obviously.
Shubhratri, सभी को जय श्री राम वंदे मातरम.
Yeah. We'll meet on in our
Yes,
next stream. Jai Shri Ram.